powers that be want Americans to think that we can't win these big fights, that the trans-Canada types have all the money. They've got the lobbyists, they've got the State Department, they've got the Canadian government. So we should just surrender, just kind of go down softly. One thing they did not count on, and that is you. Ordinary folks. Robert Redford said it perfectly. Here it is. Here's a better idea than what poor Bay was offering. Let's build the next generation of energy-efficient cars, homes, and workplaces. Let's develop wind, solar, and other cleaner, safer, more sustainable sources of power and fuel. Let's invest in high-speed rail and smart communities with better transportation options. Let's do these things so we won't need to keep going to the ends of the earth, ravaging our forests, putting our oceans and workers at risk, and creating havoc worldwide to sustain an oil addiction that is sapping our economy and bleeding us dry.
Well, what happened is I am part of a Santar oil spill, and I have hundreds upon hundreds of sick people in my area. That Canadian company told us to bury oil, plant grass over the oil, and when I went to the EPA, they didn't do nothing. When I went to the press, I got fired the next day. I have a whistleblower lawsuit, and the reason why is because I'm going to have them testify under oath that they covered up oil. I will not take any amount of money. I am a union worker, and I will not work for a Santar pipeline. I will stay unemployed. And I also am a Navy veteran with the Bronze Star. This is wrong what they're doing. Santar oil is the worst oil known to mankind. We cannot allow it. Thank you.
What we see here is private businesses using a cover of an application that they submit to the Texas Railroad Commission to say that they're really public businesses and they're doing things in the public good. And that's kind of a farce. We want private business in this state, but we also deserve to have private property protected. Private business means you do business with willing buyers and sellers. You don't get to use the club of government to come in and beat up on Texas landowners.
And we're here today to not only have our concerns and questions raised, but those questions are going to be answered through the legal authority of a 391 commission. And I commend these folks for actually getting that done, because that's what can stop this pipeline. And I want to just leave you with this. If this company, TransCanada, wants to build a pipeline, it must do so without the use of eminent domain. And TransCanada needs to pay willing selling landowners a price they're willing to sell for if they want to come after Texas property. Don't mess with Texas.
Good morning. My name is Susana Almanza, and I'm with Poder, People Organized in Defense of Earth and her resources. And we're also a member of the Indigenous Environmental Network. What we see today is already what's happening with the dirty tar sands mining operation is destroying the homeland of the First Nations people in Alberta. And I'm here to ask and to tell President Obama to deny the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Amanda Yaira Robinson. I'm coordinator of Texas Interfaith Power and Light, the environmental program of Texas Impact. Texas faith leaders of different religious traditions stand united in opposition to the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline on moral grounds. Even though we come from different religious traditions, sometimes pray in different languages, and observe different holidays, we share a concern for people and for the earth. We also share an understanding that our lives are bound up with each other's lives, that we are part of an interconnected web of life, and that our actions have consequences. We are told that building this pipeline will create new jobs, but it will also create new problems. Harming Indigenous peoples in Canada, increasing air pollution in Houston, creating the risk of oil spills in fragile aquifers, and making global warming even more severe. We find this scenario morally unacceptable. Today we have prayed, and soon we will testify. Rather than continue our destructive dependence on oil, let us find a way forward that protects the health of all people and the planet that we share. The Keystone XL is not the way. Thank you.
My
name is Neil Carmen. I'm the Clean Air Program Director for the Sierra Club in Texas. I used to inspect refineries. Texas refineries will be receiving the tar sands crude oil, and many of these refinery communities are sacrifice zones where there's high levels of benzene, toxic soot, metals, sulfur dioxides, hydrogen sulfide, and other toxic air pollutants. These people already suffer elevated rates of cancers, birth defects, premature mortalities, respiratory problems, and many kids stay home sick because they can't go to school due to the high amount of air pollution. So the toxic tar sands is a very dirty crude oil that will increase the pollution from these refineries. It will add to the burden of these sacrifice zones in Port Arthur and Houston and Texas City. If you go there, it's very difficult to stay there for very long because the air is so bad. And so we cannot allow this to happen because there's already too high of a burden on these low-income, primarily people of color communities along the Texas Gulf Coast. No more toxic sacrifice zones from the tar sands crude oil. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Julia Trigg Crawford. I'm a landowner in Lamar County, Texas on the Red River, and TransCanada wants to come across my land. They not only want to come across my land, they want to horizontally drill under the water source through which I irrigate my land. The kicker to this is the pasture in which they want to come up in has been certified as full of Caddo Indian artifacts. On my land is one of the largest Caddo Indian digs of this century, and just yesterday I had it resurveyed, and guess what? What my archaeologists found is in direct opposition to what TransCanada's archaeologists found. They will now probably extend the outer boundary of that Caddo dig, and we're hopeful that TransCanada will sit up and take notice. It is not only the indigenous peoples of Canada who are at risk, but those in Oklahoma and Texas as well. I am of Choctaw heritage, and I stand on this side of the border saying we should stop it. Thank you.
Texas would have the longest span of the Keystone XL pipeline, exposing Texas to the biggest risk from oil spills. Is this what we need? Is this what we want? No! What? No! TransCanada has a dismal safety record. Its Keystone 1 pipeline has spilled 12 times in 12 months. Is this what we need or want? No! What? No! It's better. You know that word arguably? Sometimes we throw that in. We throw it in. Arguably, the U.S. State Department's final environmental impact statement is flawed and incomplete. I think that's the case. In addition to the risk of catastrophic spills, state apparently ignored the Texas drought and the incredible extra burden placed on our water resources by the diversion of water for construction and operation of this pipeline. Is this what we need? No! What? No! Good. The State Department also ignored risks to the Carrizo-Wilcox Aquifer, the state's third largest. The water supply for 60 counties and up to 12 million Texans, including DFW. Is this what we want or need? No! We don't want that. We don't want that? No! Okay. And numbers don't always matter, but your presence will always matter. And so please, continue to do this no matter how frustrating it feels, because without you doing this, there's no chance we'll make progress, and I believe there's no chance that we'll stop the pipeline. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for what you're going to do in the future, and thank you for what you're going to do tomorrow. And together, reaching out across Texas, I think we have a real good chance at stopping the pipeline. Thank you.
name is David Daniel, and I'm a property owner that was trespassed on by TransCanada. That's how I found out about the project. 3 years ago, my neighbor called me, said people have been trespassing on our property. I went back, checked out my property, found it had been fully surveyed, fully staked, and that was, I had never heard anything about the proposed pipeline or TransCanada or anything like that. That was from day one, 3 years ago, was my introduction to TransCanada and this whole process and how it works. It's always been about the safety for me. Yes, you trespass on my property, that's a big issue. It's a huge issue that leads to a huge amount of other abuses. And those abuses, that they all end up affecting everybody, because they're all enablers. From the trespassing to the complete and total disrespect from the State Department about our water supplies and the threat to our water supplies. Those are all enabling factors that affect the health and well-being of everybody here and their children to come. We have alternative sources of energy. We do not have alternative sources of water. We do not have alternative sources of air. We have to stand up. We got to make a stand any way we can. Everybody's doing what they can, the best they can. Make your voice heard. You know, find a way, contact somebody, make your voice heard. Voice your opinion. Your opinion does matter. It's the silent majority that has allowed all these abuses to happen. We can no longer be silent. Our environment, our lives, our children are threatened by this industry that has placated us. The State Department has placated us through a process. We will not stand for it. We're going to do everything in our power to make our voices heard. Thank you very much for coming out.